Welcome in RGC, just another tutorial. This is going to be our second week of tutorials for our Discord subs and Patreons. And to thank you guys for all the support and looking forward to helping give back to you guys with these tutorials and whatnot. Remember, if you are a legend, that I can do one-on-one stuff, so just contact me if you need help with something, and I can help you. Just keep that in mind. You do have a one-on-one session with me whenever you like. Um, so this tutorial we're going to talk about how to bring a mod or how to make a mod from base game tools or vehicles. So if you want to edit a, let's say, a seeder to go a little bit faster, to hold a little bit more capacity, um, this is how you would do it without making your own mod from scratch. You don't need a model. You're just going to use what they give you in the game and create it to go faster and have high capacity or whatever else you would want to do with it. Um, so yeah, that's what we're going to cover for the first part. Second part, we're going to go back to the map side of things and talk about textures and how to edit textures and change and make the texture kind of unique to how you want it to be for terrain. So if you want to have a forest terrain, so to speak, you can kind of bring in different kind of textures and combine them to make your own. We're going to go over that, and hopefully next week I can show you how to bring in a texture that you find from another map or that you like from another base game map. We can bring those textures over to your map. That will be the following week, just a little bit more in depth on how to do that. So that will be what we do today. So first off, to grab a base game tool or vehicle, you can open up Giants Editor. Make sure you're 9.03. That's for 22s. New mod from game. Save. Okay, the title. No. They may not pop up for you, but I already did something in here, so it wanted me to save it. Um, so we're gonna choose an item. This right here is a list of everything that's in FS22. So if you're on 9.03, if you're on 8 or whatever, you would see all from 19's vehicles. That being said, you may have to choose the path for this, and I'll show you that too in a little bit. So you see this. Sometimes when you open this up, it may not see anything, and I gotta make sure you guys can see all the vehicles here and tools. I'm gonna choose the tempo to work on, something that they wanted me to add to my RGC mods pack, so I'm just gonna take a look at it. It should be right in this area here. Rapid tempos L16 right here. So click on that, hit OK, and it's gonna ask for a working directory. You want to put it basically default. It's gonna go to documents and it's gonna create a MyFS22 mods. Then it's gonna create a folder and have the files you need in there for you. So I just leave it at default. I know where that's located. Hit OK. It's just gonna create it and bring it up here. It's weird how it doesn't have textures. Usually it does. Cool. All right, that's been created. Hopefully, yes, it does work. I'm gonna go over real quick. If you don't see um, the file when you click on the new mods from game, if you don't see this list, I gotta figure out this real quick in my head. I know there's a way. I just gotta find the options, preferences, game installation. I believe that's what it is. Game installation. You gotta make sure you are choosing. Let's see if I can go over the right directory right there. Farming Simulator 22. That right there will allow you to get all the mods or all the tools and vehicles from the end game. If this path isn't set up, it won't show anything at all, I'm pretty sure. Alright, so we don't need to save anything here. I'm just going to say no, close out, because all we did was create another folder in our documents. So we can click on our folders here, go into our documents. My FS22 mods is where I went to, and here is that tempo. I'm going to double click on this. Okay, so this right here is a basic setup of a mod. You got a mod desk, you got a store image, you got an i3D, a shapes file for the i3D, and an XML. So since we're using the base game i3D, we technically don't need an i3D in the shapes file because we can path it to the base game. It saves on a little bit of file space, so right 14,000 kilobytes is 14 megabytes that we could be shaving off from the mod itself, so it doesn't take up extra space in your downloads, whatever, if you're sharing these with somebody. Um, so we're going to do that first, is we're going to set up the XML to read it to the base game i3D. So we're going to click on the XML, make sure we have Notepad++. I'm just going to delete all these here so we don't get confused. I leave brand and log because that's important for me. Alright, so this right here is your XML file that we're going to be editing to make it go a little bit faster and also have higher capacity. And right now we're going to change some of the file paths so it reads it through the base game and not through the mod itself. You can leave it just like this if you want to have it read i3D itself, but we're going to show you how to save some file space here. Alright, so this file name is the path that you're using right now. So we're going to find the path to the base game. We know it's a Vertinstad. We can see that the brand here, Vertinstad. So we're going to go into the directory of the farm sim. I already have a quick folder set up here. So you can see the path right here. So it's going to be in your Steam if you're using Steam. Steam apps, common, farm sim 22. Going to go on data. And then we're going to go down to vehicles. This is all the vehicles and tools that's in the game basically. Go down to the brand, Vertinstad. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but Vertinstad. And we're going to find the tempo L16. That's basically the folder we have already. Just has all the textures built into it. So this tempo XML, we can open this up. And now we can see that this file name has a path set to the base game. So we can just grab this, copy it over, the whole thing from the arrow to the arrow there. Control C. We're going to copy it over. Delete this. Control V. So that right there is pathing it to the base game i3D. By doing that, we just saved ourselves 13 megabytes. That's not a huge deal, but to you it may be. It's not a big. I like to keep things as small as possible when it comes to file size. You can edit whatever you like through the informational part of it, store data. We can keep the same price, or we can raise it up because it's going to be going a little bit faster, so we may want to raise it up a little bit more than what the base game one is, because this is going to be a base game too. It's just going to be like a modded version of it. I like to change the power needed. Typically, I like to use a little bit smaller tractors on it. So anything under 200 horsepower basically can use this. We can't change working width. We're not expanding the tool at all. We're just making it go faster, so we can't do nothing there. Other than that, we're gonna leave this part the way it is. We can change the brand, but we have to edit the mod desk. We're not gonna do that. I like to keep the same brands. I do have my own brand in the RGC mods pack. That's where you would change that, but your mod desk has to match up with the same name here. That would be probably another tutorial on how to do that. Alright, so file name, got that all set. Now we're going to go to this base area and we're going to see speed limit. So this speed limit right here is how fast this tool is allowed to go, basically. So your machine may go 30 miles an hour, but when you have this attached to it, it won't allow you to go over 18. It's actually 18 kilometers per hour. So we're going to raise that up. I think I do 24. It's not a crazy amount more, but from 7 to 9 or whatever, it's to 2 miles per hour. It's a good increase. I still try to keep things realistic as I can, for most of the maps I play, whatever 16x maps, and going 6 miles an hour across the field can be quite time consuming. All right, so next thing we're going to edit is the capacity. So we're going to find fill unit. Yeah, fill units right here. So your seeds is 1,400. We're going to change this. Let's do like 15,000. Now this next line of code here is for the mass doesn't weigh anything. So everything that's so you're adding more capacity to it, so it's gonna the seeds when you put them in there, it's gonna weigh more, so it's gonna be harder to pull. So I always put update mass equals false, so it's not gonna recognize the weight that you're putting into the unit there. So fertilizer, we can go 15,000 with that as well. Yeah, but instead of typing it out, we're just gonna copy that down. All right, so that won't weigh anything. So those two things have been done. There's another cool thing too that we can take a look at that I like to look into with seeders and whatnot. So some seeders can be a direct seed. So that means like you don't need to cultivate or plow the field before seeding. You can just seed right over the top of it after you harvest it. So we're gonna go look down here and see if we can do that here. I've never really done this before. I usually leave it default, but let's try it. All right, this one here, I don't think it says it in here. All right, so I'm going to try to add it in. I'm going to go look for an XML that already has direct seeding. I do know the Vertistad Rapid 800S does have it. So make sure we're not changing. We already grabbed what we wanted here. So I don't like to leave these open because it's base game stuff, and if you change it, you can mess up your file. So I'm gonna delete that one. So we're gonna go down to sowing machine, just past the fill units, and see if it has direct seed in there. So yeah, it says use direct planting. True. We're gonna try copying this over. Control C. Field groundwork planted. What is this? Field ground type sown. Yep. Needs activation. True. So we have to need activation. We gotta throw that in needs activation. See if this works. It may not, but this is the first time trying it. It'd be kind of cool to see. All right, that's basically all I'm gonna edit here. Actually, we gotta go over adding color, so let's do that too. All right, so if you want to make it so you can change the color of your sewing machine, whatever it's sewing machine, your sewing, can't even think right now, planter or whatever. You need to come down to your base material section here and add in a base configuration section. I already have some done, so we're going to go into my files here to grab one. Just going to do this real quick. I think I have it set up already here. RGC mods, maps, vehicles. Let's go to one of my vehicles I already have set up. Planter I don't think has it. I know this one does, so we're going to use this one. Go down to the base material, your section here right before the i3D mapping, and we can see a configuration. So I'm just going to copy this base configuration. We're going to paste it in right below the material here. And also the rims, so the rim configuration. So we can paint our rims whatever we like. And we're going to paste that. I usually do it right after the foliage bending section. Alright, we don't need to change anything in the ribbon configuration. It's just allowing you to add in these 4 different colors plus default colors. We're going to default at 3. So base material. Now we're going to edit this material configuration to match up with this base material. So we're going to copy this material here. That's what they're using, and we're going to put it in this spot here. Control V. They have 3 different colors here. I'm going to look for the red. I think we can do yellow too, I believe. So color material 0, color material 1. Now we can same thing, color material. So I don't know what that's going to change. So for now, we're just going to do that color material 1. You can see what I'm doing here. This is a parameter, shader parameter. For 1 will be the red part of it. So we're going to change the red part of it. We're going to use default color index 14 because that is already red. It's kind of matches up pretty close to it already. To tell what color you're using for this number is basically when you're looking at it in the shop, you can count from the first color down, and then 14 would be the one it's at right now. I think, give you an idea, 9 would be a John Deere yellow color, I think, if I remember correctly. But I'll show you that when we get back into the shop. Alright, that's all you really need to do to change it. We're going to save this and we're going to test it. First, we got to edit the mod desk before we do that testing, and I'm going to get rid of this so I don't make a mistake. Edit that. So now we're going to go back into our documents and pull up our mod desk of the file that we're working on. Alright, so here we just kind of edit your author here, just put your name in. Version don't need to change. This is the name of the mod. So we can call it the Tempo L16. Description. This is not that big of a deal, but I like to put in base game Tempo L16 edited to go faster and hold more. Just basic description here. Your icon config, same deal. To save a little bit of space, we can grab it from base game. I already moved it, so I'm going to go back into that. To get the right path, I could probably just wing it, bring it up in my own mind, but I'm going to try to get 100% correct here. Where's FS22? I got to do this again, don't I? Nope. So go back into that to find the right path for it. Vert instead. Tempo. Alright, so basically this is the path right here. So $data, vehicles, vert instead, Tempo L16. So you can type that in so we can see it right in front of us here. $data slash vehicles slash. But actually, this is how you do it manually, but this is a very easier way. I'm going to double check it here for it, just because this way you can make mistakes. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna do it the way without making mistakes. You can type it in manually. All you gotta do is add in tempo here. Tempo L16 slash, and then this right here. we're just going to copy, Control C, just so you show you do it manually, but I'm going to double check it, copying and pasting it, the same way we did the other one. There you go. That would work perfectly fine. Icon would come out perfect. No worries there. Alright, so this is how we do it the manual, easier way. It's already in there, right? An image. So you just do that same copy. And yeah, just to double check this icon file name. Can be the same thing as the store. Bingo. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think this right here, I may need to change the image path to, yeah, see how it's just to there? I can copy that in as there as well. Sorry, I missed that earlier. Technically, you don't have to do that because image is already in your folder. But to save a little bit of space, we can path it to the base game because we're using it. All right, so we can save this. Mod desk, we got everything done here that we need. XML is set to the right path. Save. All right, mod desk is done. We're almost ready for testing. All right, let's go back to folder. I know this is probably going back and forth for you guys, but hope you guys can follow it. Alright, so we don't need to store because we're using our own base game. We can delete that. We can delete this and delete that because our paths are set to the base game. And now we're going to make this into a zip folder. So we're going to go select all. We're going to right click on it. Then we're going to send to a compressed zip folder. FS22 as I always start out my mods as, underscore, then I'm just going to do tempo, underscore L, underscore 16. I could do a capital, I guess, at the beginning. No big deal. Tempo L16. You know what it is. Now we're going to cut this out here and place into our mods folder that we're using. Then we're going to be testing it with the Aurorus Valley server mods that I'm using. Aurorus server, where are you? So right click anywhere in this area here. I'm just going to use that paste icon for that. If you're using Windows 10, you may not have the same types of options I do. So I'm using Windows 11. Alright, so we got the tempo in there. Now we can test it. You can do this with basically any base game tool that you saw in that drop down menu at the very beginning there. Anything you like to change, tractors, horsepower, speeds, and things like that, experiment with it. I just gave you one example of a seeder. I had more capacity. This you saw with my RGC mods pack how many things I brought in there and I've changed and made a little bit better for a use of a 16 times map basically. Let's see if it showed up in here. Tempo L16. That's a good sign. And actually now, in order to test it, to do the direct seed, I'm going to have a map that already has a field on there. Alright, so we didn't change the category or anything like that, so it's going to be in planters, I think, actually. So all the way over to the end where the mods are located, and there it is. Main color, let's see what happens. Nice. So these are the yellow things that you could have changed as well. But I think we're good. All right. So got a bunch of yelling going on behind me. I was just trying to concentrate there. Um, so yeah, the yellow you could have changed as well by adding an extra material. That would have changed the whole thing. But I think I like the looks with the tanks being that yellow color. That's the way it should be. So we're gonna leave it that way. The tires, we just change that. That looks like that's working very good. Perfect. Everything worked out good. We can check the log file here, and everything's perfect. There, created the first mod. Very simple. And you can see there's a tempo there too. But let's look at the speeds here. 11 miles per hour. That's actually pretty fast. Already base 11. How much should we get? Gain 2 miles per hour. Capacity, so that was 30,000 because we did 15 and 15. And this capacity here is 6,920. So we can spend a little bit more time on the field. The color too is fairly close. So you can tell it's a little bit different. That color there, but really not so much difference. If you click on the main color, so we have 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So you get how that is. Like I said, the John Deere one I think is 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's how you tell what color you're using. So if you want to try to change it to more of a Fendt color or Massey, I'm using the Case red, but the Crimson red is what I like the most for all my vehicles. I should change it to all that, but I try to keep it close as default as I can. All right, so on to the next lesson. This part's fun. So we're going to go over, this is fairly quick. I wanted to add this into the second part of it because we had some questions last tutorial on this topic. So I figured we'd go over this today as well. I'm going to open up a map that I already have open, I think. Actually, let's pull apart the Roros Valley because it's smaller and it's quicker to do. So we're going to go into Roros server. We're going to go down to Roros Valley. Going to extract it. And we're going to open up the maps i3D parts of Roros Valley. i3D is how I changed the name of it so it's not maps. Alright, so this is something that is new with Giants Editor 9 version. This is something they added in when they made 9.0 or whatever. You can change textures right in the i3, right in the Giants Editor. Before you'd have to do things to the texture and then set the paths to it, but not no more. It's so much easier and better to do. So we're just going to use this area right here to show you. Basically, I'm just going to clear out an area of grass. I'm not going to save this, so. And we're going to paint it just rough dirt for now, just so you can get a better canvas look what we're going to do. Alright, so we're going to create a new texture. So we're going to go into the terrain here. And now the terrain has an attributes section. So we're going to make sure we have an attributes open. If you don't see attributes, Windows, user attributes will bring that up. No, user attributes won't. User attributes is there. So it's going to be attributes. Alright. Default, I think it does open up. But we click on this terrain tab, and down here you see a layer manager. Click on that. So this right here is all of our layers that we are using in the map right now, all by themselves. These are just the layers, not combined. These are all the combined layers. That's what we're going to add. We're going to add in a combined layer. by using the layers we already have, basically, and create it from what we already have in the map. So click on Add Combined Layer. It's really simple. It's going to create this. We're going to make it a name. So let's just do a forestry undergrowth. So let's call it undergrowth, I guess. Undergrowth. Perfect. All caps. Don't have to. All right, let's choose a first layer that we want here. So if you click on it twice, it brings out a drop arrow and it shows you all of the list that you have. So first I'm going to do is forest needles. That's kind of an obvious one, right? For an undergrowth. Let's do forest needles. We choose in 0, 1. Make sure we know that we're grabbing 0, 1. I'm going to bring this over some so we can see it better. Now for our second layer, let's do, not that. If you click off from the side, it does that to you. Let's do forest needles. Let's do 2 forest needles. Now maybe a grass. So I think it's alpine grass, I think it's called in here. So we're mixing a little bit of grass in with some needles and maybe a little dirt. You can tell I did the first 1 and 2, so it's easier for me to remember what it is. So noise frequency, I always usually just make it 2. I don't think if it matters if you do the same thing. I think it goes right back to 2. Yeah, eventually when you save it, it would do the 3 zeros after. Alright, so now we're going to apply this here and hope it doesn't crash. Alright, so now we're going to close this. We don't need that open. Click off to the side here. And now let's see if it registers it in the paint mode here. Ground foliage, that's the texture paint, rough dirt, undergrowth. Perfect. That's a good sign. And now see how it has a little bit of dirt, has a little bit of grass, and then the pine needles, so it gives you a different look on the undergrowth. That's good. Alright, so now we're going to change the ground foliage of what we just painted in for a texture here. So the undergrowth texture has those 4 different layers that we chose for it. So the ground foliage is a great option to choose for your forest terrain. You can do whatever you want. There's deco bushes, all kinds of different things you can paint in for each layer, but we're going to go with ground foliage for now and choose the dry branches is the first one I like to do. Then we choose the limit texture here. We're going to limit the texture to the layers that we chose. So forest needles 1. All right, so forest needles 1. That's going to be make sure we're on add for this left mouse button. And we can see that only forest needle 1 is being that foliage type. All right, we'll go back down here. We're going to choose forest needle 2. And we're going to choose a different one. Let's go with the dry small branches pure. And paint in the small branches. So that's going to cover the other forest needles. Now we did alpine grass, I think. Where is that? I don't know how I'm missing this. Grass alpine, there we go. Chose the first one, and we can do some type of grassy look here. Typically, oh, wait a second. What am I choosing this one here? Grass. All right. Small branches, there we go. Let's choose a... Let's do cover foliage. That has a nice look to it. And the last layer we did was rough dirt. Rough dirt 1, and let's do some type of mushroom. Mushrooms usually hang out in the dirt, right? Can't really see it from this view here, but get down close, we can see the little bit of mushrooms, I think. Chanterelles. So that looks like a decent little undergrowth, right? For a forest. Kind of gives it some realistic look to it, maybe. But that's how you do it. So now if you want to paint this texture in the map itself, there's other work that you need to do to get that to work. I'm just going to show you that real quick, and then we can test it real quick. So we're going to minimize this. We're not going to, should we get to save it, don't we? So that's all right. We can save it. We gotta see this big hole out here, but that's fine. All right, let's just save it. Making sure I'm doing this right. All right, so now in the Rorris Valley map here, we're gonna go to our maps XML. So for our maps XML here, down towards the bottom is gonna have a list of all of our ground type mappings. So we're just gonna copy the standard one here. We're gonna add in the undergrowth. So yeah, we're just gonna change this to what, so it matches up with what we have. Alright, that's all you really need to do. That should register that layer and it should pop up here. So let's just save that. Let's minimize it. And we're going to go back into the Sora server. We're going to delete. I'm just going to cut this out here and place it somewhere where I can know where it's at so I can put it back in. I think I did this already yesterday. Alright. Let's test it. So yeah, we went over how to bring in a mod from base game. Basically, make it how we want it, edit it, change the color of it, and we went into a map, made our own texture layer based off the layers we already have in the map, and brought it so we can actually paint it ourselves, right? So Shift P brings up this landscaping. Let's go to painting, and we should see undergrowth, I hope. Undergrowth, nice. Made me nervous for a second. And this should be exactly how we made it. A little bit of grass, a little bit of needles, and some rough dirt in there. Nice. Well there, that's the end of this tutorial. Hope you guys enjoyed it. The next tutorial, we'll try to do this next week at some point. I will post it in a Discord when the time would be. It's usually a day before. And again, it's okay if you guys don't make it to the tutorial. I always post a video after going over it, and I do the tutorial live, so people are asking questions and or talking. I just kind of take all the information. I make a separate video after that kind of condenses everything into a small, quicker video that kind of gets to the points quicker. I'm not everywhere, but if you want to get more information, I guess, show up to the Discord one of those times, just so you can ask questions and get a better understanding of what we're going over here, besides me going over it real quick afterwards, if that makes sense. So, hope to see you in the next one, and take care, guys.